You're watching Public Comment every Thursdays at 8 a.m. The live stream. Detroit is different and Bridge Detroit. Local politics of Detroit. All right. Welcome back to Public Comment from Detroit is Different and Bridge Detroit. I'm Khary Frazier here with my co-host Malachi. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm good.
I like it. So within this morning, it's getting a little bit cold. We had some warmer days, but we still rocking Detroit style. And in the Detroit style, the biggest thing that I think is coming, we're finally talking about here on Public Comment, and that is the NFL draft. A lot of talk about this. A lot of people are definitely going to have eyes on the city of Detroit. And yesterday, because we record this on Wednesday, so this past session of City Council, they were talking NFL draft. So let's open this up to what's happening draft style. Okay, and we're gonna go side to side. Well, nah, I'll go smaller angle. And all right, so the president, CEO of Visit Detroit, framed this as a sporting event that the biggest sporting event the city will ever host. It's not just downtown's draft, it's Detroit's draft, he was saying. A lot of businesses have been certified, especially women and minority-owned businesses, Black businesses, through the Metro Detroit's Black Business Alliance. It's a lot of energy connected to this and presenting to council of what this will be. And you'll see in this video, you'll see the footprint. You can also get this in Malachi's notebook every week for what happens in the city of Detroit through Bridge Detroit. But this footprint, and I'm sure it'll be other places of all of the activity associated with the NFL draft, stretching from Hart Plaza into other places. Like, it's a big area, expecting for over 300,000 visitors to all come. And they're expecting millions of dollars to come and impact the city. That is what is projected. Malachi, give some breakdown on what happened at council, just less what council was saying, but more the presentations from the business leaders about the draft.
Yeah, so we've known the draft has been coming for a while, right? Like maybe a year or something like that. We have not necessarily known exactly where these events were going to take place, although, we all kind of assumed that it would look similar to this. A lot of the activity is going to be in kind of Campus Marsh's Capitol Square area or Cadillac Square area, stretching down to Woodward, and then Hart Plaza is going to be kind of what they're calling the draft experience, which is just a lot of kind of events and music and games and attractions, beer tents, food trucks, that kind of thing. The actual draft itself, where the teams will be making their picks, are going to be done on this stage that will be constructed at the site of the old National Theater, right on the corner of Monroe and I think that's Randolph over there by the Buffalo Wild Wings, and there's like a people mover track that goes by there a couple blocks south of the Y. And they're going to build a theater on that site. I think it's going to be outdoor, like exposed. It might be kind of enclosed for weather. But that's where the actual, draft itself is going to take place. Those are in the evenings. I think it's from like 7 p.m. to like 11. But throughout the day, from noon on, from the April 25th to the 27th, they're going to be doing all kinds of events in that area. What's interesting is, this is free to the public. You don't need a ticket or anything to get in. There's going to be all kinds of like VIP, exclusive events and things like that to go to that you probably will have to pay for. And of course, you got to buy, food and tickets for, games and things like that, I'm sure. But, to actually like experience a lot of the activity, that's free. You just have to go in through these specific areas because the whole footprint, that like blue area on the map, is going to be fenced off. And they're going to kind of keep that enclosed. So there's if you look on the story, hopefully you can see it on the broadcast, there's like 3 public entry points where people will be able to come in and go out. So a little bit different than when the the race came, the Grand Prix last summer, where you could kind of wander through a little bit more. You could kind of come in and out of the event. This is a little bit more controlled in terms of like where you can go. But yeah, the major, and of course I should also say, like, there's going to be all kinds of other, they're calling them like activations of public spaces throughout the city around this time. So a number of public parks kind of in the downtown footprint are going to have things going on. The corner ballpark where the Detroit Police Athletic League in Corktown, they're going to have a bunch of youth events there. So like flag football and different kinds of like, you know, youth engagement stuff that the NFL does is going to be based out of that, that stadium. And, you know, basically they, you know, officials with the NFL, the Downtown Detroit Partnership, Visit Detroit, these kind of economic growth organizations came to City Council to talk about the benefits of all of this, that it will be inclusive, that it will be an opportunity for businesses in Detroit to take advantage of. They said there's going to be 70 Detroit businesses that are on board. Concession vendors will get to keep 100% of their sales revenue. They're really pitching this as something that will not just benefit the downtown area, but should, you know, filter out and, you know, allow people to come in and also kind of have some impacts throughout the area. There was a bit of frustration that we picked up from Councilmember James Tate.
And I wanted to, even before that, one of those events, and I'm gonna go to the next slide, that will be in community that's supported through Visit Detroit, is an event that Detroit is Different is hosting called My Mom's My First Fan. I'm gonna have the commercial at the end where it's really an event for Detroit's football moms that is going to be a presentation from NFL and pro moms and a resource hub for a lot of the football moms connecting to it. I was definitely looking at this saying to myself, okay, it's a community voice connected to this, and Detroit is Different should connect with that like we always do. And what will this be? And that's what we've come to, and it's a lot of organizing, a lot more presentation and fundraising. I do expect to be at City Council, if not this coming Tuesday, maybe next Tuesday, to present on this and speak kind of directly to what we're doing in reference to community for this and that partnership with Visit Detroit. But you just were getting into Councilmember Tate, and Councilmember Tate was saying, like, look, it's just tough for businesses that he knows to get access to what's happening, and also what will this be for community. As I've been in many different meetings where a lot of people are like, how do you get access? 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 And just that relationship between the NFL and the city of Detroit and how that connects. I do believe a lot of it is through Charity Dean recognizing that your business must be registered and certified. And that certification, I don't know if people are aware of what that certification is, as I've done some of this certification before. It's different layers to this. I think some of it is the SAM registration. So like, though, yeah, I know it's like, well, I got to register as a Black business and I'm a Black person. And it's like, well, yes, you are a Black person and you do own your business, but you're not registered in this registry. So these are some of the cited frustrations from some of the business owners and how to get involved and how to get access and just getting the information clearly, which I do think that there'll be a lot more meetings leading up to the draft. And I hope that more people can get access. One that does have access, I know, is April Anderson with Good Cakes and Bakes. They're going to be an official vendor, giving a lot of what they do, as far as like their sweets and stuff, to a lot of these events. But along with April, there are some others in the door, but getting other access to that door. James Tate, I'm pretty sure a lot of his residents are calling them saying, like, how do I get in? How do I get in? Because this is a looming question. And I wanted you to speak to that.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've seen a lot of the news coverage and a lot of the public conversation around this focus on, like, can Detroit's infrastructure handle the draft, right? Like, are our roads in good condition? Like, do we have enough parking? Can we get people around? I think it's interesting to think about, like, is our business regulatory kind of environment able to make sure that Detroiters who have businesses can take advantage of this? Are they registered? Like, simple things like this, that the kind of like red tape that makes it really hard to operate a business in Detroit, you know, like the Metro Detroit Black Business Alliance talks about this all the time. And they've done a lot of work to like get people certified and to get them with these minority designations that are important because people can get preference on contracts if they're designated as a minority business or a woman-owned business. And the NFL even has, supplier programs for all of those businesses, and in like LGBTQ businesses, like they're trying to kind of engage those groups. But if you're not like on paper with it, you can't really get advantage of that. And I think, we talk about this being inclusive. It's also going to really create a separation during the event of the downtown area because the traffic is going to be crazy. There's going to be streets that will be closed down. It's not going to be easy to get in and out of downtown. Like once you're down there, you're kind of not stuck, but like you're there, right?
I mean, you just said if they're fencing everything in, I mean, this is kind of like going to be one of those things where, and I'm sure a lot of this is security purposes, especially because it's open to the general public, but that definitely is going to impact a lot of traffic flow and a lot of other things because, all I can think of is I'm looking at those 3 entry points, and now we're looking at more of the activated public spaces outside of the NFL draft. We're looking at that map of some of those parks and some of the things that'll happen, but boy, I can 3 access points. That's going to definitely be something that I'm sure the NFL has to be used to, like these types of experiences, even when with the Super Bowls and other drafts that they've done in other cities.
I want to talk about the security stuff in just a second, but like this isn't us coming up with this. Like the NFL themselves acknowledge that it will be tough to get in and out of downtown, and that's why they're trying to really bring businesses in instead of like making it about kind of going out and exploring the neighborhood. Now, of course, there's going to be some like this is a big showcase for the city as a whole, and they hope that visitors will kind of explore the city and all that. But James Tate, who represents the northwest side of the city, says that a lot of his businesses, the businesses in his area, in his district, right, haven't been able to really get involved with this as much as he would like. He feels like a lot of the planning is happening kind of around him, and he hasn't been involved. And particularly, he was frustrated yesterday with this concern. Well, he basically was asking, like, can businesses that are not like in the draft area, can they sell like licensed NFL gear? Can they take advantage of this by selling like draft day t-shirts or jerseys or things like that? The NFL could theoretically provide that to businesses and, share part of the profit or something like that. The answer was basically no, that there's a kind of program within the NFL that's set up specifically to do that. So he was kind of like, why? That doesn't really make any sense. Like, you're telling me that people really won't be able to travel to the northwest side of the city during the draft to see these businesses. And even if they, you're not going down there, you can't really like buy draft related things in these businesses. Like that seems like kind of an oversight. That's what he was kind of speaking to on Tuesday.
I think I remember back from the Super Bowl, which that kind of goes to the next point. And a lot of people that really were involved with that Super Bowl now still are active in worlds of work. Like shout out Summer Woods. Summer was one of the people like in project coordinating with how the Super Bowl came here. I believe that was Super Bowl 40, and what that took in the timetable. So some of this is just being on the draw so early, and there are other events that will be coming, but how do you prepare yourself for something that's going to be so large and where that looks? So I definitely hear where Councilmember Tate is coming from, especially advocating for the businesses in the district. As a business owner myself, I often feel like, hey, what's going on? How do I get a piece of this? And how do I get into the mix? As I'm even getting into the mix with a community event we're hosting and what that will look like, what that will feel like, getting support and buy-in even from that is a journey and a task. I do believe that some of the measures when we think about capacity of the city, as you say, the roads and all of that other stuff, like this kind of brings into other task force. And when we look at other cities that have events like this, like a New Orleans that has so much, and the relationship between entertainment task force and visitors bureaus and councils, which they're all existent, but like a lot of stuff in Detroit, why I have Detroit is different. It seems like it's such a cliquish town sometimes, and it's not a lot of collaborative energy. I do see some collaborative spirits coming together for this, but hopefully this can also be a learned lesson of like, we gotta work together, and I don't want to sound so cliche, but it's imperative, as one of the things that Council President Sheffield was talking about was the unhoused residents, people experiencing homelessness in the city of Detroit. What will happen with them, and making sure that it's not like the Super Bowl in 2006. I don't necessarily remember that, but my mind was not as much on the political pulse. But
so there were watch parties that were held. I did a little bit of research into this. I mean, in 2006, I think I was like in middle school.
Okay.
So, and I wasn't living in Detroit, so I don't know this firsthand. But anyway, what she's speaking to is there was kind of a perception that the city had pushed a lot of the homeless population off the streets and kind of corralled them into these viewing parties, which were, basically set up to give them a way to watch the Super Bowl during the game, and then they were, I guess, released or allowed to go back. I mean, it's not like they were held captive or anything like that, so I don't want to say that, but there was kind of a perception around how the city tried to put on a cleaner image in 2006. I was reading stories about there were fake signs that were put up at the time to make some of the storefronts look like they were in use. There was
I can't speak to that. All right, so I do remember this actually because, man, rest in peace, P. So Rap City at the time, I don't know if people remember BET's Rap City. A lot of people like Yo MTV Raps, but Rap City was like one of my favorite shows. They had like a Rap City sports show. So Proof, the MC that was the hype man for Eminem, but also like my big homie and like what I think of like the statesman, the mayor of Detroit, really, as we called him, hosted a Detroit tour. And if you can find this image, he went to all of the places downtown and a lot of places even in the neighborhood. So there was like, I mean, it wasn't like North Korea or anything like the way they show us on TV, like that movie with what's his name, Seth Rogen and the other guy. But there were like banners put up in certain places where like the fences and I mean, right now you see it at the Northland site. Like if you drive by the Northland site, like it'll be a fence and then they'll put up the projected image of where things were. I don't think it was as abundant, but when I think about the transition that took place, even the stretch, the biggest transition actually from that Super Bowl was the gateway between 94, leaving the airport, coming to the city of Detroit. Like it was repaved, it was repainted, like it blew my mind. Like the bridgeway, the gateway, it was that connection. And it was a collective of a lot of the counties coming together. I mean, I'm gonna definitely stand on this, and people were shocked when Detroit won the Super Bowl bid because this was like one of the first cold weather Super Bowls, and it was Mayor Kilpatrick that pushed for this to happen, and it happened. Like it blew our mind. And then soon, because it was the Final Four bid in the Super Bowl, like it blew everybody's mind, like especially like people in the region. It's like, damn, this young black dude did that. Like I remember the energy associated with this, and then like the collective spirit of a lot of that Generation X black professional Detroiters saying like, no, we don't want to mess up with this. So there were some signs that I guess in retrospect definitely could be looked at like that. But I think most of the energy around that Super Bowl was amazing. And even the NFL said this is one of the best Super Bowls we've seen in a while. Like ESPN set up their set inside the Renaissance Center. It was open for everybody. I remember like this was like the year that this was like the year after Young Jeezy dropped Thug Motivation. It was a big concert out at the Palace of Auburn Hills that we go to. Like it was a lot of cool energy associated with the draft. That how I remember it.
Yeah, and I think that the goal is to have a very similar thing. Yeah, this is like a huge opportunity for Detroit. It's kind of a legacy moment for the mayor. It's an opportunity on a national stage to show how great Detroit is and all the fun things to do here, and that it's it's a safe city to enjoy and come spend money in. I'm sure it's part of the part of it, right?
And definitely as we get into usual overtimes, because we got definitely a story I want to get to after this, but we're we're going to talk more draft. I mean, I'm definitely going to talk more draft, but and I'm sure in this draft, like everything in Detroit, just the capacity of making sure that all residents and all intersections of institutions are fed within this, because it's some legitimate questions a lot of business people have that definitely is going up the chain, not just the council, but state representatives, county executives, as the NFL is such an interesting entity as like a nonprofit wing with like the largest billionaires across the nation. Like it's not, the NFL is like unlike anything there is to replicate what that is, and how it engages in a city within its own operations, within its own brand. As they always say, it's about protecting the shield. It's a lot to unpack,
Yeah,
which
everybody just wants a piece of pie, basically, is what we're talking about. So
definitely, which brings us to the next point. Nonprofit leader arrest sparks questions from council. All right, so UCHC director of homeownership programs Zina Thomas was arrested last week, um, accused of conspiring to steal 30 properties from across Wayne County, amongst other federal crimes. So the FBI is on the heels of Zina. You can see like a portion of a story that is in Bridge. Christine did it, and it's definitely a story that's playing out. Is stories like this will get a lot of coverage, um, and right now it led to Councilmember Mary Waters saying, "Look, we need to stop immediate pause of all contracts with UCHC and do an audit." The director of the full program was actually down at council. Mary Sheffield spoke to saying it needs to be an investigation into how the public funds were misused, if they were misused. Um, this is heavy, as this is one of the agencies that I know personally um, works with people in advocacy to like keep people in their homes. One of the safety measures to protect properties, especially like when I think of a lot of the homes that have been supported from UCHC in my community. um, this is definitely something heavy, So Malachi, what was happening at council, and how was council responding to this?
yeah, I mean, immediate concern, obviously, when these charges are filed. These are federal charges, right? So we got a press release from the Department of Justice last week when Thomas was arrested. She was charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud, money laundering, aggravated identity theft. And the UCHC director said another employee is actually under investigation as well, even though they haven't been arrested yet. So Ted Phillips, he came down to city council on Tuesday basically saying, look, I know this looks bad. We think it looks bad. We are looking into this. We're open to any audits and investigations. We're cooperating with the FBI, but canceling contracts, pausing the city's relationship with UCHC is going to really hurt people that are served by the legal aid programs that they work on. So UCHC is a huge partner with the city in the Right to Counsel program, which was created to provide free legal assistance to low-income renters who are facing eviction. They've been a longtime partner in preventing tax foreclosures and helping people with that. And this is a kind of a critical time here in early March, because at the end of the month is the deadline for people to get up to date on their taxes to get out of delinquency. Otherwise, the foreclosure process starts. So he was basically kind of pleading that, like, please don't pause anything. We really need to keep working, even though this, is very concerning, obviously, for everybody involved. Sheffield's asked for an investigation. Waters is calling for a pause of the contracts. Those are memos. There's no real action that's been taken yet. We have yet to kind of see what's going to come out of that. But I think it's really interesting. I don't know if we have like really a clear answer of like how these city programs were affected. Ted Phillips said that there were no clients that were affected and there was no misuse of city funds. But
I think, okay. All right. So now it's like the classic public comment moment where I'm gonna try to keep this short because I know we already in overtime. But so directly when you read into this, the accusations for Ms. Thomas is Thomas was alleged to have filed multiple fraudulent quit claim deeds. frequently transferring the target properties from victim owners to non-existent interim owners.
I mean, basically, she was stealing properties that were in the foreclosure process, right? I mean, she was basically supposed to be helping these people avoid foreclosure, and she was kind of scooping up the properties. Is that it, right?
So that is kind of where we're in, and so much of this needs to like, I mean, we need like legal counsel on to read everything as everything comes out with the dockets. But I just want to bring in the reality of the support that's needed. That first off, a lot of the work that UCHC has done is one of the few organizations doing that work in the city of Detroit. That's one. Two, quitclaim deeds are very prevalent in the city of Detroit. Like, I mean, I would go as far as to say, like, you know, cleaning a deed. If for anybody that's thinking about buying a property in the city of Detroit, that's probably going to be one of the first things you want to do. You want to clean the deed, meaning you want to go down to the register of deeds, find out what's happening with it, find out whose names it's under, whose name it's been under, clean the deed. Because things like this happen more than you think in reference to city of Detroit stuff. Now, the other point that I want to bring up in reference to this is the role that city council plays, or because this is city council saying, okay, we're going to entrust this organization to work on behalf of and represent with residents, and now someone in leadership is under FBI investigation for overstepping their bounds and not representing the people. But what happens if you halt and pause contracts there? Where do the services go in reference to this? So these are all questions. It's not like I have solutions or answers, and I'm definitely thinking some of this happens on the go too. So I'm not saying leave in what's wrong, but the need for people and the housing security that exists in Detroit is so heightened because we've transitioned from a homeowner city to a renter city. So every house, it seems like right now, that transitions from ownership to foreclosure is so much more impactful in 2024 than it ever was impactful before. Like, you know, it's almost becoming like home ownership is becoming a direct caste system in the city of Detroit a little bit, you know. So these are like the larger questions that loom in reference to this story to me that I would like some of your take on as well.
Yeah, I think, and you know, I mean, that's not even to mention the huge like renter eviction crisis that we're dealing with. A lot of what, you know, it's interesting as they've put more legal force behind representing people, they found that actually there's a lot of cases that are without merit, that landlords are taking people to court and don't really have a case. And so that's been really powerful to help people stay in their homes. You know, there's a lot of rental properties that are out of compliance, that are, you know, not kept up, that are unsafe to be in. And so when that comes into court, a judge is able to say, you know, you're not able to really bring this case against somebody when you're not keeping your property up, you don't have a certificate of compliance and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I think we're going to probably get legal rulings from the law department and from the legislative policy division under the city council about what they're able to do, what the impact of canceling contracts would be. I'm curious how the rest of the council feels about this. We really only heard from the two members. And there hasn't been like a really robust conversation about the implications of this this charge. We also don't know if another member, another UCHC staff member, is going to be charged with crimes. We don't know a lot of the details of the case yet as that moves forward. So I think there's just a lot of unknowns right now, and you know, we just have to kind of wait and see. But it's certainly concerning. UCHC is a really influential organization. Really. You know, has a great reputation, I think, as a nonprofit. So this came as like a shock to a lot of people. And, you know, has been a real partner with the city council to get this right to counsel program up and running. So.
And that's the other thing, like right to counsel. And I want people to know that like this political process, policy to action, it takes time. And right now, that one of the lead advocates saying like we need more money for the right to counsel program because council needs money to be counsel to represent a lot of the residents and where things go. So even in the expansion of that, so I know that these are some of the things that lead to some frustration, some apathy, some feeling like all of this stuff is a game in people and residents. But I just want to let you all know that this is the political process in motion. Like, it takes it's steps to this. You know what I'm saying? So those steps that go on in this process, it definitely will not be as linear and as smooth of a ride as possible, because the stuff that's linear and smooth of a ride are definitely not the aspects and dynamics of our society and culture for people that have an abundance of wealth and access to resources. All of this stuff is concerning people that would be labeled as impoverished, as far as when it comes to money, people with not the same like legal resources, hence needing the right to counsel support itself. So all of this work is on the side of the fence where it's going to take some time, some effort, some energy, some understanding and empathy to execute it. That's all I wanted to add.
Yeah, I mean, I got nothing else to add on that point.
Yep. So with that being said, we are kind of in some overtime. I'm gonna still run this commercial for the one thing that I'm doing for the draft. But before then, I want to say definitely thank you so much for checking out Detroit is Different. And also shout out on you lifting up the Adet O, not a handout video essay that I got. But let the people
go check
know.
that out. Check that out. It's on YouTube right now. It's linked in our
Yes.
notebook this morning. So I'm hoping to see those numbers rise. Really great
We shall
job.
see.
We talked about it on the show last week. So
Exhaustively.
people can get more kind of window into your process and how you went about doing that. But yeah, bridgedetroit.com is where we're at. You can sign up for our free newsletters. They're in your inbox every Wednesday morning for free. You don't have to do anything. They just show up in a neat little package with good information, hopefully, that you can use. We're on socials too, Bridge Detroit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And from that video essay, me and Malachi, we're gonna work on something. We're just brainstorming what it'll be. It'll be something, but you're gonna get you're gonna at least get one, possibly two more video essays from this public comment realm of thought process. So with that being said, we're gonna close out with the commercial. Let's see.
All Metro Detroit football moms to this year's event. I have a host of pro moms coming out. To my moms, my first fan, we're having it April 21st. It's going to be on fire.
I can't wait. And I know those who may come to the event, they're going to get information, resources, hear testimonies from these moms. I know I'll be there at Mary Grove. I don't know about you, but my son's not a pro in anything. But I would love to hear from these moms.
I love to hear from them as well. So come out, have a great time with us. It's a great community event. We look forward to seeing you there.
My mom's my first fan. Pro Moms giving game to Detroit football moms, providing resources to build character and class. Sunday, April 21st at Mary Grove Conservancy. Detroit is Different, Visit Detroit, Teen Hype, and Team 84 present this community event for Detroit's NFL Draft. Register online at Eventbrite.